All right. So within the second part, we will be discussing the steps, regarding how to solve a club account question in particular. Okay. Steps to solve. Number one. Calculate opening accumulated fund, okay, which is opening assets minus opening liabilities. All right. So the first thing that you need to calculate is the opening accumulated fund, which is the opening capital. Capital is a term that is used in business. However, in a club, it is used as accumulated fund. So calculating opening accumulated fund will be with the fact that you can use opening assets minus opening liabilities. Now, within this, you need to consider a lot of factors, like three in particular. Number one, subscription from members is an income. When subscription is an income and it is to be received by members, तो सारे लोग मेरी तरह शरीफ लोग थोड़ी है कि टाइमली सब कुछ दे दें. कुछ लोग सब्सक्रिप्शन बिजनेस को पे करते होंगे इन एडवांस, मुस्तफा मोइन की तरह होंगे कि फौरन से दे दिया.
Exactly.
ठीक है. कुछ लोग जो है ऑन लैरी की तरह होंगे, बिल्कुल आखिर में देंगे.
Use it.
ठीक है. अरियर्स में. अरियर्स एंड अक्रूड, लाइक जब डेडलाइन पास हो जाएगी फिर देंगे. ठीक है. नाउ business will receive this income, right? Or the club will receive this income, right? Okay. If the club is going to receive this income in advance, yani before they even provide them with service, if the club is going to receive it, would it be an asset for the club or a liability for a club? Advance में already पैसे ले लिए club ने, तो would it be a liability for a club or an asset? What do you think? If the club has taken money in advance from the members to provide them with the service, would it be a liability or an asset?
Liability. It will be a liability.
It will be a liability to provide service. Okay. Income received in advance is a liability. Expense paid in advance is an asset. Okay. If you're paying expenses in advance, that means you will be receiving services. That will be an asset. But income received in advance is a liability because now you have to provide the other person with the services. Now, subscription received in arrears means it's an asset as amount is receivable. Okay. Arrears means the club has already provided them with the club services. Now club has to receive money from them. Okay. Similarly, if you look at any expense of the club, okay, it could be rent, insurance, or salaries. Okay. Expenses की payment होती है. Again, expense could be in advance could be paid in advance or could be paid in arrears. Expenses paid in advance would mean paid before using service. Expenses paid in arrears means paid after using service. All right. So when expenses are paid in advance, okay, it is an asset because services are receivable. Okay. And when expenses are paid in arrears, it is a liability because amount is payable. You have received service, now you have to pay for it. All right. So while calculating opening accumulated fund, there might be some subscription that might have been received in advance, some in arrears. So you need to identify that, okay, subscription that is in advance is an asset. Subscription in advance is, sorry, subscription that I've received in advance is a liability. Subscription that has been received in advance, that is received in arrears, that is to be received in arrears, would be an asset. For the expenses that have been paid in advance would be an asset, but the expenses who are yet to be paid, okay, would be a liability. यदि एग्जैक्टली वही है ना, वो जब हम फाइनल अकाउंट्स बनाते हैं सोल ट्रेडर के, तो हम क्या करते हैं, प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस करंट एसेट्स में लिखते हैं और अक्रूड एक्सपेंसेस करंट लायबिलिटी में लिखते हैं, सेम थिंग। और इनकम में इसका ऑपोजिट होता है, ठीक है। ओके, ये दो फैक्टर्स कंसीडर कर लिए, इसमें देयर इज अनदर फैक्टर नंबर 3, डू नॉट फॉरगेट ओपनिंग बैंक बैलेंस from receipt and payment account. Okay. Sometimes when you are listing opening assets against opening liabilities, okay, why are you listing opening assets against opening liabilities? Because you have to calculate opening accumulated fund. Okay. So while you are making a list of opening assets or opening liabilities, sometimes you miss the opening bank balance. So that is why I have written, do not forget the opening bank balance from receipt and payment account. Okay. अगर उसका डेबिट बैलेंस हो, a debit balance in a bank means it's an asset, और अगर उसको credit balance हो, a credit balance in a bank is a liability. ठीक है. So while you are calculating opening accumulated fund, you have to list down you have to make a, लिख देता हूँ मैं आपको, list of opening assets against the list of opening liabilities. So while you're making a list, the first thing that you need to consider is subscription. Subscription given in advance, okay, subscription paid in advance or subscription received in advance by the club will be a liability. Subscription due to be received in arrears will be an asset. If there's any expense, salaries, rent and all, if it is being paid in advance, it's an asset. If expenses paid in arrears, it's a liability. And you need to consider the opening bank balance. The rest of the assets and liabilities would be very clear. उसमें इतना मसला नहीं होगा. The rest of them would be, you know, non-current assets की value, supplier for refreshment and this and that. तो इस तरह करके होंगे. All right. So once you have calculated opening accumulated fund, the second thing you need to calculate is subscription account. ठीक है? Subscription account is an income account. ठीक है? An income account is always prepared using OPPO. So what is this OPPO? अभी बताता हूँ. Have you ever done this before? OPPO, owing prepaid owing. ये हमने पहले तो कभी नहीं सुना ना. Is this the first time we are doing this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, OPPO is owings, prepaid, owings. Owings brought forward, prepaid brought forward, owings prepaid, owings prepaid, prepaid owings, prepaid carried down, owings carried down. Okay. Now subscription owings brought forward, prepaid brought forward. Prepaid के नीचे हमेशा आएगा bank, the amount of subscription received during the year, and over here you'll have charge to income and expenditure account. This is the value of actual subscription income for the year, which is to be calculated. Okay. Now, let me just clarify why is it that owings on the debit side. Okay. Subscription owings means subscription due to be received, which is an asset. An asset has a debit balance. Okay. Subscription prepaid, that means services yet to be paid or provided, that means a liability or credit balance. अब बैलेंस ब्रॉट डाउन इधर है तो कैरी डाउन लास्ट ईयर एंड पे इधर होगा ना ताकि नेक्स्ट ईयर प्रीपेड ब्रॉट डाउन इधर है ऑन द सेम साइड और यहाँ ओइंग्स कैरी डाउन इधर है बिकॉज यहाँ ओइंग्स ब्रॉट डाउन इधर आए ठीक है अच्छा व्हाई इज द बैंक ऑन द क्रेडिट साइड बिकॉज इट द एंट्री इज बैंक डेबिट सब्सक्रिप्शन अकाउंट क्रेडिट ठीक है तो the general phenomena or the general understanding for subscription account would be OPPO, owing prepaid, prepaid owing, prepaid के नीचे bank और charge to income statement is always under owings. Okay? So that's how you remember a subscription account. Now, why do we prepare a subscription account? Because there are a lot of members in the club. And each member is not going to pay on time. कुछ लोग पहले दे रहे हैं, कुछ लोग timely दे रहे हैं, कुछ लोग बाद में दे रहे हैं. ठीक है? So since this is a collection from a lot of members, so what happens is that instead of instead of just calculating one amount, they prefer preparing a subscription account because it accounts for all the receipts of subscription. Okay? Though it being in arrears, though it being in advance, okay, तो एक subscription account बनाते हैं. And the charge to income and expenditure account is the one that is to be charged in income and expenditure account. Okay. Okay. So the first step that we saw was to calculate the opening accumulated fund. The second step that we saw is the one for the subscription account. ठीक है. ये दो steps हो गए. इसके बाद the third step of a club account question would be calculate or prepare any expense account with arrears owings or prepaid or advance. Just like income, you might have another account or you might have expenses which might have income or expense, which might has arrears or prepayments. Okay, so you have to prepare an account, an expense account, all those expense account that has arrears and prepaid with it. Now the income account was prepared using OPPO. Okay, but the expense account would be, don't please consider that. ठीक है, हम सिर्फ ओप्पो तक रहते हैं. ठीक है, expense account will be who, सही है. So expense will be prepaid, owings, owings, prepaid. All right, now prepaid brought forward, owings brought forward, owings carried down, prepaid carried down. Just like subscription, prepaid के नीचे bank, the amount of expense paid during the year and charged to income and expenditure account is the one which is to be calculated. All right. So now the explanation of this. Why do we do that? That's very important. Yes. Expenses prepaid. That means paid before using service, right? So it becomes a receivable, which is an asset, और asset का कौन सा balance होता है? हमेशा debit balance होता है. सही है. Expenses paid in owings, arrears, owings, accrued, same thing. ठीक है. चलो मैं यहाँ लिख देता हूँ. Arrears, owings, accrued, prepaid, and advance. Same thing. ठीक है. Okay. Expenses paid in arrears means payment after receiving services due to be paid. That means a liability, and a liability has a credit balance. So that's a justification of a debit balance. That's a justification of a credit balance. ठीक है. जब brought down उधर हुआ तो carry down उधर होगा for the next year's brought down on the original side. Again, if the brought down is here, carry down on the debit side and brought down again next on the same side. Why are we recording bank on the debit side? Because the entry is expense debit, bank credit. So expense का account debit because of bank. ठीक है. So this is step number 3. So I'm stopping this video over here. We'll continue. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make another video in which I'll complete these steps. And once these steps are completed, I'll share the second part of the steps video with you. Okay. All right. So